Hello, my friend. If someone sent you this video or you landed here because you're considering working with me privately or joining my program Worthy and Free, then I want you to watch this entire video before you book your call. Please do this because I want you to fully understand who I work with, what I actually do to help people, why you may still be struggling with something that you've been trying to change for years, and what working together actually looks like. That way we can just get right to the good stuff while we're on our call together. And most importantly, I want you to be able to decide whether you're genuinely ready for this kind of work or not. Because if I'm being honest, a lot of people say they want to change, but they're not always ready to actually do what's needed. Because I don't do surface level coaching. In fact, I don't do surface level anything. I'm not interested in helping you feel better for 3 days and then watching you fall back into the same old patterns. That's just not what I'm interested in doing. I want to help you understand what's actually driving those patterns in the first place so you can change what's happening underneath the surface and give you the tools to create lasting change in your life. What I tell people is you get in, you get out, you move on with your life, and you're good to go. So first, let's talk about you, okay? You probably already know that something needs to change. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on this call or watching this video. Most people come to me because they aren't completely unaware of their problems. Actually, it's usually quite the opposite. They're incredibly self-aware. They've thought about this stuff a lot. And maybe you're successful in certain areas of your life. Maybe you're ambitious, independent. Maybe it looks like you have everything on the outside. Maybe you're driven, highly sensitive, empathic, maybe even ADHD. You might even be the person everyone else comes to for advice. Maybe from the outside, like I said, everything looks pretty good, but internally there's something that you haven't quite been able to figure out. You might be feeling burnt out, misaligned, unfulfilled. Maybe you overthink everything. Maybe anxiety runs the show way more than you care to admit. Maybe you're constantly asking questions to yourself or to other people and about your decisions. And maybe you know exactly what you should be doing, but you can't seem to consistently do it. Maybe you're terrified of making the wrong decision. Perhaps you procrastinate or people please, or you avoid uncomfortable conversations, or you stay in situations far too long. Maybe you struggle with boundaries. You get triggered by certain people or situations. You constantly worry about what other people think about you. And that's a big one. You live in fear. Maybe you even start things and you don't finish them. You know you want more from your career, your business, your relationships, your health, and your life, but something keeps stopping you. So what could it be? And maybe that's the most frustrating part of all. Is like, you know better. You know that you should be doing something, but you're not sure what it is. Maybe you've read the books, listened to the podcasts, including mine, hopefully. Maybe you even followed the therapists and coaches and experts online. Maybe you've even gone to therapy or done the journaling or the meditation or even gone to a retreat and done the affirmations and maybe even made a vision board. Maybe you've tried the routines and being more disciplined or forcing yourself to just think positive, right? And, some of those things probably did help, but there's still this gap between the person that you are now and the person that you know you're capable of becoming and the person that you actually are being every day. And eventually you just start wondering, what the fuck is wrong with me? Why do I keep doing this? Why can't I just change? Why do I understand what's happening and still I keep doing the opposite? I know what I should be doing, but I'm not doing it for some reason. And that question is actually incredibly important because knowing something intellectually and changing the pattern to create it are two completely different things. One is conscious and one is unconscious. So why you haven't been able to just fix it, okay? Your brain is designed to run patterns and it's extremely intelligent. It learns through repetition, association, experience, and emotion. And a huge amount of what you do every day happens automatically in the subconscious. Your reactions, your emotions, your assumptions, the meaning that you give things, the way you respond to things such as rejection, the way you handle conflict, the way you respond to uncertainty, right? What you believe you're capable of, what you believe you deserve, and what you're worthy of. Whether you trust yourself or not, or you seek out validation from others, whether you feel safe being seen, whether you take risk or stay where you are. And a lot of those patterns were formed long before you consciously chose them. I imagine that if they're not working out for you, then you wouldn't have chosen them, which means you can consciously want something and still have an unconscious pattern that is pulling you into a different direction. And that's why some people say, I want a healthy relationship, but then continuously choose an unavailable, or even a toxic or abusive partner. Or maybe you say, I want to grow my business, but then you hide every time it's time to put yourself out there on the internet. I want peace, but you constantly find yourself overwhelmed. Does this ever happen to you? Maybe you say you want confidence, but you still need everyone else's approval before making a decision. Maybe you've been in a situation that you said, I know I need to leave, but then you stay anyways. I know I need to start, then you procrastinate. I know this shouldn't bother me, but why do I continue to get triggered every single time? That is the gap that we're interested in, because I don't just want to know what you're doing. I want to know why. What's underneath it? What belief is running the show? What emotion is attached to it? What are you afraid will happen? What did your brain learn somewhere along the way, either in childhood or even before that? And what needs to change so you no longer have to fight yourself every single day, every second of every day? So this is where my work is different, okay? I've spent years working with people and studying change, and one thing became incredibly obvious to me. People don't need more information, okay? We have more information available to us than any generation in human history. It's quite fascinating, isn't it? Most people already know a lot of what they should be doing. The problem is implementation. But it's also emotional patterns, it's beliefs, it's identities, it's fear, it's conditioning. And it's the automatic shit that keeps happening underneath the unconscious mind. That's why my work combines coaching with tools from NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, hypnosis, timeline therapy, and other change work approaches, inner child healing. I'm very intuitive, empathic. Sometimes we need to understand something. Sometimes we need to change the meaning attached to something. Sometimes we need to release an emotion we've been carrying around for years. Sometimes we just need to challenge a belief or create a reframe or interrupt an old pattern. Or we need to build an entirely new way of responding to life. What we're doing is we're looking at the whole picture. Because I'm really not interested in just teaching you how to cope with the same freaking problem that you've had forever. If we can change what's creating it. How would that feel? So how is this different from therapy? Because a lot of people come to me from the talk therapy world, and I get that question asked all the time. So first, coaching is not therapy, and it doesn't replace appropriate mental health care, okay? I am not a therapist. They serve different purposes. They're incredible therapists doing incredible work. But what we're doing together is focus heavily on patterns, outcomes, emotional regulation, beliefs, behavior, self-trust, and creating change moving forward. We work at the subconscious level, which is not where talk therapy typically focuses on. We're going to look at where you are, who you are, and where you want to go, and what's preventing you from getting there up until now. And then we're going to work on changing it. You don't need to come to me knowing exactly what's wrong with you. That's actually my job. You come to me with what's happening now and what you want instead. Maybe you say, I keep sabotaging this, or I can't make a decision, or I don't trust myself, or I keep getting triggered, or I'm anxious all the time, or I don't know why, but I can't make myself to do it, or I want to lose weight, or stop drinking alcohol, or start my business. I keep ending up in the same relationships. I'm successful, but I'm freaking miserable. Like, what the heck? Whatever it is, we follow the thread, okay? And this work, it moves very fast. This is another thing that people sometimes find surprising. You don't necessarily need years to create meaningful change. In fact, we work very quickly. It doesn't mean that I promise every single problem disappears instantly. I don't promise that. Everyone is different. Everyone's problems are different. And no ethical coach should actually guarantee you a specific psychological outcome. But I have watched people create changes incredibly quickly when we identify the right thing to work on. I've had clients come to me with patterns that they've been struggling for 50 years and experience major shifts in how they think, feel, and respond within the first 1 or 2 sessions. I've watched people become calm in situations that used to completely derail them for days or weeks. They make decisions that they've been avoiding. They learn how to set boundaries. They finally start the business. They learn how to trust themselves. They stop carrying emotional shit from their past into everything that's happening today. They no longer take care of everybody. They're not the people pleaser anymore. They take action on things that they talked about for years. Maybe they change relationships or careers. That's a big one. Start the business. Stop allowing fear to make every freaking decision for them. And below this video, you'll see some testimonials and experiences from people that I've actually worked with. So don't just take my word for it. Read theirs, watch their videos, listen to their voice notes, because I want you to see what's possible. I want you to see what's possible. Because you might say, but will this work for me? Maybe. And I deliberately say maybe, because I'm never going to sit here and tell a stranger watching a video that I can guarantee their result. Your results require you too. I can bring everything I know to you. I can ask the proper questions. I can challenge you. I can hold you accountable. I can help you see things that you've never been able to see before. I can teach you tools. I can help you identify the patterns and help you change your beliefs that you've had since childhood and support you through uncomfortable decisions and emotions. But I cannot do your part for you. And I don't want clients who expect me to, honestly. You have to still show up. The people who tend to get the most out of working with me are the ones who are willing to be honest, who are willing to be challenged, who are willing to take responsibility for their lives, who are willing to try something different, who want a different life for themselves, who are actually ready to change. You don't have to know how, okay? That's why you're coming to me, because I'm the expert in this. You just have to be willing. So let's just talk about the money for a minute, okay? Private coaching is an investment. And I know money is real, okay? Bills are real, families are real. I've had people say that they spend like $80,000 on talk therapy. I know financial responsibilities are real. Trust me, I get it. I'm never going to tell someone to ignore their financial reality. But I'm also going to ask you to look honestly at what staying exactly where you are is costing you. Because everything has a cost. Sometimes the cost isn't money. Sometimes it's another year of anxiety, another year in the wrong relationship, another year avoiding the business and putting yourself out there and feeling love and joy, another year of second guessing yourself, another year of saying you'll do it when you're ready, another year of knowing that you're capable of more and watching yourself stay in the exact same place for another year. So if your immediate reaction is, I can't afford coaching, ask yourself a better question. Is it genuinely financially impossible right now? Or is investing in yourself uncomfortable? Because those are two completely different things. And every single person I've worked with had said this has been hands down one of the best investments they've ever made in themselves. And it genuinely isn't, financial responsibility isn't for you. It's okay. I would rather you tell me than to put yourself into a situation that creates more stress for you. But don't automatically let fear make the decision for you either. Just get curious about it. And I mean, maybe money isn't even a problem for you anyway. So then if that's the case, then just scrap it. I need you to think about it. So maybe you do. And there are absolutely decisions worth thinking about, okay? If you say that I have to think about it. But I want you to understand something about your brain, okay? Your brain loves familiarity, even when familiar isn't particularly good. Change creates uncertainty, and uncertainty creates resistance. So if you're on the call and you're like, I need to think about it, Sometimes what that genuinely means is I just need more information. And sometimes it means that I'm scared. I'm scared this won't work. I'm scared it will work. I'm scared to spend the money. I'm scared to commit. I'm scared to go in all in on myself. I'm scared I'll fail again. I'm scared I'll actually have to change something. What if I change? I'm scared of who I might become if I stop living this way. Those are very different conversations. So if you need more information, let's get you information, okay? If you need to understand something, then ask me. But if you spend 5 years thinking about it, changing the same thing, more thinking probably isn't the solution, okay? Okay, if you need to talk to a partner about this, if you share finances or major financial decisions with a husband, wife, or partner, talk to them before our call, okay? Please do this because that saves us our time. I don't want you to get excited about working together and then realize afterwards that another person needs to be involved in the decision making. I've had that too many times and it's just a no-go now. So show them this page, show them the video, show them the testimonials. Talk about what you're considering investing in. This is an investment for you, your life, your future, and everyone you're associated with. And then come to our conversation knowing that you're able and willing to. And that doesn't mean that you have to decide to work with me before we speak. That's not what I'm saying. That's literally what the call is for. But I want the people on my calendar to be in a position to make their own decisions after they have the information that they need. Sounds good? Okay, let's cover why now, okay? Here's another question that I want you to consider before we talk. Question 1, how long has it already been a problem? 6 months, 2 years, 10 years, your entire life? And if nothing changes, where does this pattern take you? And you can't say that you'll stay the same. And not tomorrow either, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. Because we massively underestimate the compound effects of our patterns. One avoided conversation becomes a new relationship dynamic, right? 1 year procrastination becomes 5. Constantly abandoning yourselves becomes an identity. You won't know who you are anymore. Fear becomes a lifestyle and way of being. And eventually you look around and you realize you built a life around avoiding the things that you were afraid of and sacrificed everything you wanted. There will probably never be a magical morning where you wake up completely fearless and finally feel like I'm ready. Usually readiness is a decision. In fact, always. It's always a decision. So what happens on our call? This isn't a pressure-filled sales call when I'm going to spend an hour trying to convince you to give me your money. That's not what we're doing at all. I don't want to convince you. I want you to understand. We're going to talk about what's happening in your life right now. What you're struggling with. The things that you've already tried. What you actually want. What's getting in the way of getting it. And where appropriate, I'll help you start identifying some of the patterns that are underneath it. And then we'll talk about what I believe would actually help. I'm not just going to fill you up with stuff that I don't think that would actually help you. If I genuinely believe we're a good fit, I'll explain what working together looks like. Isn't that the whole point of this call anyways? I'll answer your questions. We'll talk about the investment, and then you get to make a decision. And sometimes I'll tell somebody I don't think that I'm the right person for them. And that's okay too. It doesn't happen very often because I tend to attract people who are ready. This isn't about collecting clients. I want to work with people who I believe I can genuinely help. Okay, one last thing. If you've made it this far, I want you to ask yourself something before you book the call. Okay? What would change in your life if this thing stopped controlling you? If fear wasn't making the decision? If anxiety wasn't running the show? If you finally trusted yourself? If you stopped constantly questioning whether you're good enough, capable enough, or ready enough? If you stopped getting pulled back in the same emotional patterns? If you actually followed through on the things that you say you want? Who would you become? What would you do? What conversations would you finally have? Where would you go? What would you start? What would you stop tolerating? What would your relationships look and feel like? Or your business, or your career, or your health, your peace, your life? Because that is what I'm interested in. And I think you are too. Not turning you into somebody else, helping you remove the shit that's been preventing you from being fully you in the first place. That's really what this work is all about. I believe freedom is being able to live your life without your past, without your fear, your conditioning, or everybody else's opinions constantly making your decisions for you. I hear it so often where people feel like they're a puppet in someone else's story. We heal your past, teach you how to master yourself and live free. That is the work. That's the freedom method. So if you're looking for another podcast to listen to, another book to read, or somebody else to tell you everything is fine while you're continuing doing exactly the same thing that you've always done, then I'm honestly not your person. Okay? But if you're at the point where you're saying enough is enough, I know that there's more for me. I don't know how to get there yet, but I'm ready to figure it out. Then book your call below. Watch the testimonials. Come to the call open and ready and honest. Bring your questions. And most importantly, come ready to tell me what you actually want your life to look like. Okay? Because if we're a fit, I'm not going to spend our time around on surface level stuff. We're going to figure out what's actually keeping you stuck and move on as quickly as we can. We don't need to spend a lot of time going back and forth. And I'm going to start challenging you right off the bat. Okay? That's what I'm here for, with love. So I'll see you on the call. I can't wait to meet you, and hopefully virtually and in person one day. Okay. See you soon. Make sure you click the call button below to book your call, and reach out to me once you have. I'm very excited to meet you. Okay. Bye.